It was 10 years of a 3 a.m. alarm clock. Like that erodes your life energy, that alarm clock, not the job, because the job was life-giving. And I loved it. That's why I did it so long. People were like, how do you do this? How do you keep waking up this early? Like, you're exhausted. I'm like, yeah, but when I'm there and I'm doing what I love, it feels so good.
Hello, everybody. This is the Winning in Winnipeg podcast, where I talk to top performing business owners, executives, entrepreneurs, and local Winnipeg celebrities. I get to learn who they are and how they think. I get to hear their perspective about what's really going on in Winnipeg and their businesses. Today, I have a local Winnipeg celebrity with us. Nicole Dubé is a well-known journalist here in Winnipeg. She runs Dubé Media, a company that helps people tell their story, whether it's in presentations, honing in on their messaging, online PR, or improving their storytelling abilities. We've all known Nicole since 2016 from her role as the co-host of the CTV Morning Live here in Winnipeg, and before that as the CTV social media reporter since 2013. She is a household face and name, and I'm grateful to dive into her story here on the podcast. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Daniel. That was an amazing intro.
You made it easy. You made it very easy.
Oh, no, I'm so excited to get to meet you, and I'm excited to actually hear some of your story too.
Yeah. So,
you know what? I'll try not to play journalist. It's hard for me not to throw questions back.
Yeah. Like it's not really an interview. It's more of a conversation, I suppose, because it's interesting what you've done. And I want to jump into a few different areas. First one, you graduated from Ryerson in 2013 with a bachelor's in journalism. Is that correct?
No, earlier than that.
Was it?
I'm old, Daniel.
Oh.
Ryerson University, now Toronto Metropolitan University.
Okay.
I graduated in 2005, 2006. And I came right to Winnipeg. I actually worked for Global News first before I joined CTV.
Okay.
Like my on-air career has been, 17 years now. But I was first published in media. I was a real keener high school senior. I grew up in Hamilton, Ontario.
Did you really?
And I started in media.
So Winnipeg sucked you in, hey?
Winnipeg sucked me in. I cannot wait to talk about Winnipeg some more. But yeah, I actually was bit by the journalism bug as early as 18 years old. And
really?
I've been, 20 years in a media career. CTV though, and CTV Morning Live was my dream job of all dream jobs. I loved every minute of it.
Right. Mm-hmm. You've been listed as a journalist, as a reporter. Is there a difference between the two? And is that all behind you now as far as jumping into the world of entrepreneurship and business owner, consulting, training?
Yeah.
What do you still consider yourself?
Gosh, I hope it's not behind me. I feel like it's in my blood. Again, I felt so lucky as a high schooler who knew, I want to be Katie Couric or Oprah Winfrey. I mean, that's what any person who liked news or television news for that matter back in the late 90s wanted to do. Or I hope it's not behind me, but I did feel in the pandemic, I'm sure you've had these conversations. I joked, if you're not reevaluating your life choices, are you even pandemicing? In the pandemic, I really started to ask myself,
bro, do you even pandemic?
Are you? Yeah, right. Was that even like part of your life? Yeah. If you weren't sitting there being like, what is going on with me and where am I going next? But yeah, I had some real heavy thoughts and conversations with myself and with the people who know me best a couple of years ago about what is next? Like, is media forever changed? And we can unpack that. But I was starting to really feel, as many professions all of a sudden were gaining flexibility and mine was not, that perhaps there was a need for change. And so I really started doing some soul searching, some inner work, and allowed myself for the first time at that point, in what felt like 18 years, I guess, to think of who I was and what would I do if I wasn't Nicole, the journalist. And that led me down some really interesting paths and conversations and ideas and Do I still consider myself a journalist? Yes, because it was only a couple months ago. May 26th was my last day on air. But I do hope that as my entrepreneurial journey continues to unfold and things kind of settle into a nice rhythm, that I'm opening myself up to some passion projects to still be a journalist, still do some freelance work, because I love the profession so much. But my time with CTV really in my heart felt like it was coming to an end. It was 10 years of a 3 a.m. alarm clock. Like that erodes your life energy, that alarm clock, not the job, because the job was life-giving and I loved it. That's why I did it so long. People were like, how do you do this? How do you keep waking up this early? Like, you're exhausted. I'm like, yeah, but when I'm there and I'm doing what I love, it feels so good.
And you have 2 kids, right?
2 kids. Yeah. Just turned 7, just turned 9. I've only known CTV as either pregnant or a parent. So it was like a double whammy of exhaustion, becoming, starting a family and getting into the rhythm of what it's like to work, early morning hours, living like a vampire. You're only really in darkness, especially in the dead of winter here in Winnipeg. But the need for sleep, I know that's maybe an overly simplistic explanation for my choice to leave, but the need for sleep was really, I couldn't ignore it anymore. Like my body was aching for a sleep routine that aligned with how my energy was flowing.
If you wore a Whoop strap, it would be screaming at you.
Yeah.
For 10 years straight.
Yeah. I think I managed to ignore it for so long because I loved the work. But anyone who knows me, they're like, Nicole, when I first took the morning show job, they're like, how are you of all people going to do this? Because I'm that person who can sleep like 12 to 14 hours and probably still sleep longer. Yeah. I'm a high sleep needs person, and I put that to the side to follow a dream for 10 years. And I came back to some sleep. It's been a fun summer of sleeping.
You've rediscovered it.
Yes. See, people are like, how's it going? How's the new business? I'm like, what's funny? I've discovered this thing called sleep.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's amazing.
I found that the pandemic, it made people question. It gave them a lot of time. It gave them a lot of inner soul searching as far as, 1, am I happy? 2, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? But I find that like even myself, so my journey began at like 30 when I started asking questions, because I had a marriage that fell apart and I was just like, what? Like, how did that happen? But the pandemic forced a lot of us inside to just like, now you got to think, right? Now you got to be by yourself. So,
and you mean inside, like internally, not just physically force us inside. A little bit of both.
Yeah. Double entendre. I know you speak French. So it's quite interesting. So did it ever happen? Like, did you realize, was it like a happiness thing?
Okay. So in the first lockdown,
in the first lockdown.
I can like map this out, but I won't. I'll cut to the chase. Essentially, in media, you're skilled at reading between the lines. You listen to a press conference, and I was realizing like the tone of this isn't going to be 3 weeks. Like, we're really going to be like, I knew right out of the gates, especially as the person delivering the news, I have to follow these rules to the letter. And this is well before mandates. These were suggestions when you think about it, right? Yeah. It was an intense time. It was stressful. We had our young kids at home. My daughter at the time was 3.5, and in between like cutting issues, maybe napping some days, maybe not. I just felt like internally in our home, we just weren't in harmony with that first lockdown. And I had a friend who said, you should try meditation. And I was like, I will try anything. If this had been brought up outside of the pandemic, I don't think I probably would have laughed and been like, who has time for that?
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, I need something. I need something to like chill out after my intensely long news day, coming home to my 2 kids and my husband. They're all here. And, on one hand, they're loving it because this is like, cool, I can work from home now. But it was intense. So I started meditating. I did a Deepak Chopra 30-day meditation challenge. Yep. And at the risk of sounding like I'm exaggerating or being hyperbolic, it literally changed my life. It was my it came to me exactly when I needed to go within and stop fighting with what was happening on the outside. And yeah, I did that meditation challenge. I meditated for 30 days straight. And as they say, the rest is history. I just got onto this path of learning about myself again after being thrust into a news career that I was so passionate about, and then having kids, and then landing my dream job as the host of the show. And then boom, it all ground to a halt in the pandemic. And we're still moving forward as newscasters, but everything else is like slowing way down. And that lack of alignment was really jarring for me. So discovering meditation at that point in time was such a gift. And I'm sure you've talked to a lot of people about it, but when you stop and just give yourself a little bit of inner peace, it's pretty fascinating what can come out of that stillness.
Absolutely. When you're not worried about the future, or you're not worried about the past, and just being present and focused.
I think myself, and I'm sure our society, but we're so output driven. That would have been me. Overachiever in high school, university as well. And then just being so laser focused on my goals and my assignments as a journalist just propelled me. And then what you said, you had a plan, and when it blew up, that was your kind of awakening of, marriage and what it's all going to look like. And I had my plan and I was executing it. And, we had our home and the kids and everything's going great and the job's going great. And boom, pandemic just turns everything on its head. And it really forced a lot of like soul searching in the midst of all the uncertainty and unknowns. And, we're trying to find our answers and push through and persevere. Well, this was all out of everyone's control. There's nothing to push through. You have to surrender to it. That's a word I wouldn't have used 3 years ago. Surrender to what is. And now here I am saying it in a podcast.
It's funny you mentioned meditation. Meditation was one of the huge things for me too. And because construction is stressful. Like that's all it is. It's just stress 24/7. But I found that when I started meditating, I could fall asleep at night in probably 30 seconds, maybe a minute. Like it was just, that part changed me.
Do you still can you still fall asleep that easily, or is it?
Yeah, pretty quick.
For you.
Yeah.
I find like I veer off my meditation routine, but I'm rediscovering what routine looks like all over again. So.
Yeah. I notice when I don't meditate or over an extended period of time, and I rediscover social media on my phone, that my sleep gets affected a lot. Right?
Yeah, I can relate to that.
There's a lot to unpack in what you said there. And we could go, and we're going to go in a lot of those directions. First though, growing up, so you knew in high school that you were really inspired by journalists and diving into that realm. Were you ever entrepreneurial? Did you have jobs? What were they?
That's a great question. Funny you asked that, because initially I went into high school thinking, one day I think I'll be an entrepreneur. Not totally knowing what the word meant, but I'm like, that sounds real cool.
Yeah, it's a long word.
And then I did junior achievement. So this is like student-led businesses, and you have community volunteer advisors. Have you ever heard of this? Like Winnipeg has a phenomenal junior achievement program. Yeah,
I've heard of it. I couldn't describe anything about it though.
So classic obnoxious me in grade 9 or 10. Junior achievement. Start your own company with a bunch of other high school kids. And you do it for like 8 months. So it's 8 months, once a week. You get together in whatever office, and you meet with high school kids from, around the region, and you start a company and sell some shares, and you come up with a product. And I don't even remember.
And what was it?
My gosh. The very first business that I was a part of was we sold beeswax candles.
Nice.
Yeah. But as the keener, like even I cringe thinking back to, 14-year-old Nicole. I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, like I'm going to run the company, even though there was like kids who've been doing it for years, but I shot my hand up and you go and explain why you want to run it. And for some reason the kids, like, because we were kids really. So yeah, I was like first year, a first year achiever of the year. I think I won some award for just being this keener selling beeswax candles to aunts and uncles and anyone else who would buy our product for a whopping $10 of beeswax and cellophane. But I did that for quite a few years. I did that as like a side, actually, it was an extracurricular in high school. And then I played a lot of sports as well. As coming back to this overachiever teen that I was, which I've unpacked a bit of that stuff too, which we can talk about at some point. But anyways, is it truly overachieving? Like you pushed yourself? I very much felt like my value was in, I for numerous reasons felt like the way to have the most value in life was to, kind of be everything. If I can't be good at one thing, I'm going to try to just be pretty good at, like, if I can't excel as like the basketball star. I don't think I was like I don't think I excelled in one area. I wasn't tall enough to be the best volleyball player. Didn't have the strongest shot to be the best hockey player. Wasn't the smartest at math or science. So I in my head, I was like, okay, if I'm not going to be really good at one thing, I'm just going to outwork in as many areas as I can to like diversify my portfolio for university applications. There was this thing in my head of I'm not great at anything. For some reason, that's what I thought. So I'm just going to do everything and try to work as hard as I can. Sounds very well-rounded though. To create opportunity. Yes. And I had extremely supportive parents. Like when you do as much stuff as me and my brother and sister did, it's because your parents become professional drivers to all your activities, right? But one of the things I did was one of the coaches of my ringette. I played ringette and hockey. One of my coaches was a journalist with the Hamilton Spectator. And I was working on an English class project. And we had to do a really big end of the year assignment presentation. And I said, okay, well, you are he was the Hamilton Spectator's literary critic. So he'd review books and literature. I'm like, I'm going to have you come in and I'm going to interview you like I'm like Oprah's book club as part of my presentation. I don't even know how you got me on this story, Daniel. He said, we have the Hamilton Spectator has a co-op program for high school students. He's like, you'd be a good candidate. You should apply. Mm-hmm. So I spent a high school semester in the newsroom of the Hamilton Spectator in Southern Ontario, and I had 8 articles published. And that was my application for journalism school. Was that the big moment that kind of pushed you in that direction, or was it before that? No, absolutely. Like I'd always loved watching really great journalism, 2020 and whatever I was allowed to watch, and interviewing people, like actually getting like an assignment and knowing that I had some journalists who were going to mentor me in the newsroom, and then seeing my name published. That was okay, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm going to do. What are the journalism schools in our country that I want to go to? And Ryerson then I loved every minute of that experience too. Beautiful. Mm-hmm. So let's dive into that a little bit. Let's dive into first Global and then CTV. Was there a big difference between the two? The two newsrooms I've worked in, I've had the pleasure of spending time in 9 newsrooms. I was a different person when I came out of school to when I left CTV, right? I was in the CTV newsroom. I was 20 years old, turning 21, and they let me anchor the weekend news. So a 21-year-old being offered up a reporter anchor job, it was amazing. I was so naive, but it serves. Naivete can serve you, right? When you don't know what you don't know, you just do what you're told to do when you don't think anything of it. Like you jump. You have no choice. Yeah. So I remember being like my first assignment. Well, no, one of my first times being assigned a city hall story. I show up at city. I don't know who
was
do
mayor?
You know? It was Sam Cates.
Okay.
Yeah. It was Sam Cates. I like, would you know how to navigate City Hall? No.
0%.
You're just, as a journalist, because you're a member of the media or the press, you're granted access. But I'm thrown to City Hall with my cameraman, and I'm like, he's like, okay, you've never done this? I'm like, I've never done this. He's like, okay, I'll help you out. To all the camera people out in the world, we know how smart you are and how you know how to tell stories through that visual medium. And thank you. I'm thankful for every single camera person. Most I've worked with have been men who worked with me, because that's what it is. It's you got to work with the reporter.
Bit of a partnership.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I loved the crew at Global. I love that news outlet. They have amazingly talented journalists go through there, and I'm just lucky to have started my career really, truly, like live TV, like really biting my teeth into it at Global. I did some stuff with Rogers and First Local and Kitchener, but a real TV newsroom experience on air was with Global Winnipeg, and I'm forever grateful.
Are they all parented by the same company?
No.
So what were, you had mentioned some of the difficulties or the heavier subjects that came later on, especially with the pandemic. How did you deal with them? Did it affect you at all? You mentioned kind of bringing it home, or at least, stress wise, it's got to weigh on you a little bit. So what were some of the more heavier things that you had to deal with?
Well, again, as a young journalist, you're so naive and you're just focusing on the story, at least in my experience. So some of the heavier stories I covered, I will forever be impacted by the Greyhound bus story and Tim McLean. His mother, Carol Dadelli, is a phenomenal human being. And I remember being in the trial, covering that really young, and knowing in that moment, like this is a story that will always be part of my, when I think back on what it is to be a journalist. This is a heavy one. This is a hard one. First time really feeling really sad, because it was just shocking for the whole country. And then we grow up, right? And I get to CTV, and the responsibility of my role continues to grow. And now I'm eventually hosting the show, and all our life experience contributes to who we are in our jobs, and our jobs contribute to who we are outside of our jobs. And some jobs, it's more intertwined. Your home identity versus your job identity, it can be more intertwined. And yeah, I really found that focusing on the work worked really well as a strategy until it didn't anymore. And again, going back to the pandemic, the work was all consuming. And you come home and it's still all consuming. So there was no longer a disconnect between what we were reporting on and covering in the newsroom versus what I was coming home to. We were living and breathing it 24/7. I think all of us did, right? So that was when I realized, oh, okay, I don't just focus on the work, then come home and get to be mom. Now I'm coming home and the whole family's here, and they're also still going through everything. So yeah, I think part of that awakening or discovering meditation was the first time giving myself more tools other than output. Even playing sports, phenomenal stress reliever. I still, to this day, I still play volleyball. I still play hockey. I'm trying to golf, but that adds to my stress.
Yes, it does. Till you hit one good shot.
And then you're back for more.
It brings you in.
Gosh.
That's how the game survives.
That 100%. Yeah, they know that feeling. It feels so good. Yeah. Or, you meet up with friends for a drink. Well, in the pandemic, you couldn't. I think that's, for me, it was all the things I would do that helped me, or at least what I thought was helping me deal with stress or my idiosyncrasies or our, neurotic habits that we think are so normal because you're on that hamster wheel of output. That stuff wasn't available. It wasn't helping me. And then I was still, stuck in the stress of it all. And then it went on a lot longer than we all thought it would, right? So learning how to slow down and go within and quiet the mind and really feel where I'm feeling stuck, slowly excavating some of the things that maybe I had suppressed from my teenage years while I was overachieving. I learned more about myself. I've learned more about myself and my flaws and how to love on them even when they're tough in the last 3 years than I would have in the last 30 years. Yeah.
I've noticed that out of the pandemic, there was a lot of people that either got a lot worse or a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's a lot that stayed the same that just fought change, right? That always do and probably always will. But I definitely have met a lot of people that have either skyrocketed or just they fought it tooth and nail and got even worse.
Like, I don't even know if I've skyrocketed. I wouldn't even describe, at least from my circumstance, I finally, coming back to the word, I finally just surrendered for the first time in like 25 years. Like, when I think of like high school too, when I think of university, when I think of my 20s, when I think of the bulk of my 30s, it was always about go, 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 output, achieve the things that I have always wanted.
You are your results.
Yeah, totally. And I remember telling my husband too, when I remember telling him just before the pandemic, I'm like, I'm so happy. And in my head, that happiness was so attributed to like, we're our family and the work I'm doing and the life we've created together. And then here comes the pandemic and I realize, oh, well, when I take all the rose, when you take the rose colored glasses off, I'm carrying some baggage. I'm carrying some self-worth stuff from being younger, from being conditioned and feeling like I thrive when I'm at my busiest. I thrive when I'm going, and to a degree, people pleasing. Gosh, you're making me like really open up here. I didn't think this was going to be a therapy session.
Well, you do have to pay on the way out.
Okay.
Did you notice, so you've described a big change in yourself because of the pandemic. Over the 10 years, did you notice a change in CTV at all? The way that they operated?
Oh, I think every single industry, news included, has changed in 10 years. Like, remember, when I started at CTV, I was the social media reporter because that was this thing that we were all discovering. Yeah. When I left, that job doesn't exist anymore because it is just now woven into the fabric of life. And that was in under 10 years. So to go from like, okay, there's this thing called Twitter, we're tracking conversations, there's hashtags, let's launch a Facebook page, let's get a CTV Morning Live Instagram account. Like, that all happened 10 years ago. Only 10 years ago, when you really think about it, to the way the whole operation is now. I mean, well, currently right now, you can't even find CTV Morning Live on Instagram. It's being blocked by Meta. So like, look at the changes, right? There's been so much that has evolved through the digital era of news consumption. Your first source 10 years ago probably would have been the website or like going to television. Those are your two main spots. And they were just starting to figure out how to like really use Twitter and social media to get their stories out. Like, let's really use Facebook to put our stories. Or your homepage would be like a news outlet 10 years ago. Now it's, everything's there. Everything's online. And news organizations across our country are trying to figure out how to monetize their product more than ever before. It's always been a challenge, but now more than ever before, it's a real question. Even if you love your appointment viewing, your cell phone or your social media or the tech that you interact with every day is going to beat you to it. Even if you want to sit down on the couch with dad and watch the news like you did growing up, you've probably seen half the stories, whether you wanted to or not, just by the nature of the tech we use, the pop-ups you might get. You have to make a conscientious effort now to not get something fed your way through a newsletter or an email or your website settings.
That's right. Yeah. What is it like, and did it ever happen where you had to report on stuff or talk about stuff that you didn't agree with?
Oh,
like what's that?
Okay,
what's that like?
So I say this honestly. You're going to think I'm sitting on the fence here, but I'm not. You, as a trained journalist, your job is, it doesn't matter if you like something or don't like something. Your job is to provide the facts from the sources or the credible sources and put them out there. And your personal opinion is for your personal domain. As a journalist, our job is to give you the information. Now, opinion news is as popular as ever. The demand for news talk and, those 24/7 news outlets, you don't even have to name them. You know who they are. Like, you can find what you want to find so easily now. I have a lot of respect for journalists who know how to do the job, present the facts, and keep the opinion out of it. So yeah, have I reported on stuff where my eyes are rolling? For sure, we're all human beings, but my job has always been to tell the story. It's not my story. It is not my story. It is no journalist's story. You're the person who is putting the information out there for someone else. The idea is supposed to be that you formulate your opinion on it based on unbiased facts. Now, yes, like, we're all biased. That's why you're supposed to consume from multiple sources. You're supposed to find,
pros, cons,
your different outlets.
The entire debate.
That's, at least when my first year of journalism school, we were supposed to read 2 to 3 different newspapers. And in Toronto, the Toronto Star, National Post, Winnipeg, the Sun, you were supposed to read how different outlets covered the same story as just standard practice.
What do you think about the state of journalism right now?
I think the appetite for information has never been higher. So I think the need for news and journalism is alive and well. I think we are all in a transition phase of our news consuming habits. I think we need to continue to invest in quality journalism. I don't know what that financial formula is.
What do you mean by quality journalism? What dictates what's quality and what's not? Is that just fact-based and getting the opinion out of it? Or is it the way that someone can tell a story or take their biases out?
In the TV industry, there have been layoffs. Newsrooms have been shrinking. Journalists today are so overworked and so underpaid for what they're trying to achieve every day. They're also doing 4 times, if not 10 times more work. Here's a great example of how the industry has changed. When I started, you were assigned a camera person, and you would go get the story. You'd come back. You would put together the story. You'd choose your clips. You would then go sit with someone on the assignment desk. They would vet your story. They'd go through it, and then you'd be assigned an editor, and then you'd sit with an editor. So in any given day, you're working with no less than 4, if not 5 people who also have a vested interest in that final product. Today, that journalist is carrying their own camera. Like the VJ model has come back. So they're shooting their own story. They are editing it and they're getting it in. But before they can even get to that edit process, they need to have sent 2 paragraphs into the web team so that the web can get it online hours before the story will air on the 5 or 6 o'clock news. So they need to get something to the web team. They then need to write some type of tweet or do some type of social media. So they're going to do the job of 5 people now. And then they're probably going to work on, like, we call it a cut down, like an abbreviated version of that same story. And they're going to do this all by driving themselves, making the phone calls, their ability to work ahead, or to even get all those elements in the highest quality is just harder and harder. So when I say quality journalism, I believe in the journalism teams, because that's where you're going to get diversity of thought. The smaller our newsrooms become, the more they become echo chambers. Assignment desks and editorial teams, they keep shrinking. News is needed more than ever. And the amount of bodies contributing to the product, there's either less or they're overworked because they're doing so much. I'm telling you, the journalists in our city and our country are working so hard. And it's a thankless job. Yeah.
Well, it is a topic that we could probably spend another 6 hours on.
Oh my gosh, we could really unpack it for
sure. But I'm gonna pull us out, and we're gonna go into. So I quit the fire department after 11 years. Not an easy decision at all. You've what, 7? It was 17 years, 20 years, 17 on camera.
Yeah, I've been in media in various fashions for 20 years.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, and 10 years at CTV, and you're now pulling the plug. So, how was that decision come to, and what were the feelings when you were going through it?
It was the hardest decision I've pretty much ever made, hands down, because the logic part of my brain and my heart were saying, I love this. I love the people I worked with. It was just the best team. I laughed every day. Even in the pandemic, we felt lucky that we still got to come in and have a sense of normalcy, even though nothing was really normal, more so than the average person, because we were still allowed to be around people, granted with very strict signage. Bell Media is a big corporation. They came down real quick with all the ways we had to adapt to function safely. Anyways, so yes, hardest decision I ever made. And I agonized over it for a good 2 years. The first thought was just simply, who am I if I'm not on the news doing what I've done? The only job I've ever wanted. Who is that person? So that was my first journey into, who I am without a title. And then I had a friend say, oh, you know what I just did? And they did it virtually, but we did some media training. I'm like, yeah, what was that like? And she explained it. And she's like, and the whole time I was like, oh, Nicole could do this. I'm like, you could do it really well. You'd be funny at that too. I think you'd really make it an engaging workshop. I'm like, interesting. And
let me just take that idea.
I kind of like socked it away. Yeah. And then I was in the shower one night, and like, boom, this like huge download kind of came of like, oh, okay, if I'm not on the news, or if I'm not the journalist, my skill sets include media training, but there's also like this like whole download of ideas. I like literally ran to my like notepad, and I couldn't write out the ideas fast enough. Have you ever had that happen? Yeah. It's like this involuntary download of information just kind of came. And then again, I just kind of sat with this, brain map dump of all these kind of ideas. And that then led to different conversations with just some of the coolest, kindest people who, replied to an email when I said, "Can I talk to you about what you do?" Or "I'd like to pick your brain on why you left media and what you did." And I said I was like in my R&D phase of life, research and development, just great conversations with different people. Still, again, old school programming in my mind, looking for like approval and validation that this idea I had wasn't crazy. And that led to, it's really interesting when you open yourself up and you're vulnerable and you tell people, "I'm thinking of this." And then, one person says, "Oh, you should talk to this person." And that's what happened. And then I met the most remarkable mentor, and I'm forever grateful. And she kind of just helped me crystallize. Many people did, but she was, that gave me that feeling of a safety net that if I'm going to leave, I'm not going to be out in the void of completely just, dumpster fire, burning a career up and walking away and having nothing, which is the fear of you've worked so hard at something. Why now?
Isn't it funny that that's where your mind goes?
Yes.
When you're thinking about it, like, I'm throwing everything away.
Yes, I definitely had, when I thought I was going to leave, ended up being another year. Because, things change. Things always change. And I'm like, okay, no, this feels good. You know what? I can put that idea on hold. So everything took a lot longer. I would actually say, looking back at the pattern of my life, everything always took longer to manifest than I thought it would. Not even that I was putting timelines on stuff, but the reason I share this is because now today, being in the kind of the void a little bit more than I've been used to, I find comfort in knowing that I have manifested stuff in my life, even if it doesn't happen right away. Because we all want it right away. We all, like, when you want something, you want it now. So that delayed gratification is something I've learned to respect and embrace.
My, I don't know if you can see it, but up there is my fire department kind of thing. It's got my letter, my card. You can't really see it from here, but it says January 28th, 2018. Okay. And on it, I remember a conversation with a coach of mine, and very akin to what you went through. He asked me, "Well, when is this going to happen?" Right? Because you're on the fence right now. So you're going to be you're going to be shitty or good at really two things. You're never going to be great at one. So it's time to get off the fence. And he said, "Okay, give me a date." And I said, "Okay, well, I got to finish this. January 28th, 2019. And he was like, "Okay, cool. Well, we're, in 2017 right now, nearing the end." He goes, "What if you push it up a year?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Why not? What's the worst that would happen?" And so it made me really think hard. And I couldn't think of anything other than fear being the biggest thing. Like, I was just the whys and the hows and everything like that going through. And I remember I had to write it down for myself on a card and made it real. And it would have taken me probably 2 years, even if I didn't do that. And it pushed me 1 year just simply by bending time, right? Just being like, what's time, right? Other than excuses or anything like that. Like, it was very interesting. So you're jumping out. Did you have Dubé Media planned out? Was it like, how close was the vision when you were able to leave?
Well, I did seek out the help of several people to crystallize kind of my services and what I could offer. What do my skills translate to in terms of services to help people? really honing in on my why. Like, well, why am I doing this? It's not just because I want sleep. It's because no, something else is really exciting me here. And being able to help people communicate their story or their message, any number of platforms or mediums, I get a thrill out of that. And that's using my skills as well, just in a little bit of a different way. So that was exciting for me, and I had some help figuring out what a business looks like, what a consulting-based business would look like, how that would operate. As a journalist, this is something I really realized. Like, we are in a bubble. Like, we truly live in a craft career of journalism is a craft. What I did as a host of a show, that is, you're putting out an energy every day to create something every day, and you got to do it again and again and again. To come in and put on like a business hat, that just felt so unnatural. But the vision of like, okay, this could be really cool if I can help more people using the skills that I've acquired and maybe get a bit more sleep. So I thought I was going to be Nicole Dubé Consulting for a very long time. I think I still own the Google domain on Nicole Dubé Consulting or Dubé Consulting. Then it kind of went to just Dubé Consulting. I think I bought that domain name, and then it took someone who really specializes in brand identity to say, what about Dubé Media? Oh, Nicole Dubé Media kind of started coming up. But the name of the business, and that was only the last few months before I left. It was kind of more near the end of it all. And then I actually did kind of a branding. Have you ever gone through like a branding session? It's fun. It's neat. I had never done that. So that was exciting. But ultimately the website is NicoleDubéMedia.com. And the name, my company is Dubé Media.
So take me through the services. Let's talk about what exactly you do.
Okay. I do a few things for any number of individuals. So primarily it would be media training or presentation coaching. So helping someone communicate, do exactly what you do so well, Daniel, because it's not easy. So media training is actually a service. There's nothing new behind that, but there are many organizations or individuals, spokespeople, government officials, and for any host of reasons, on occasion, they may find themselves approached by media. And so I offer a full service media training package. And that can be a half day or a full day. But you will get everything. You'll get your working with the media or understanding the media 101, because understanding what their objectives are can really help anyone feel really calm in knowing, okay, well, what's the point of this? Media is not evil, right? Yeah. They really are just looking for the story and for the quote. Yeah. And so we do key messaging. We really strategize on those key messages and the proof points the behind pillars, them. Yeah, so that you can get them out. You can understand how to answer questions in a way that gets you to your key messages, but you can't skirt the question. So we go over the why behind that. You do not want to leave any seed of doubt in the reader or viewer or audience's mind when, being asked a question. So we unpack that. And then it's, on-camera training. And then question and answer training, so that when you do get that opportunity, you really nail it.
That's right.
So I do that. I do media training. I also have a message mastery program. So this is where I help train individuals, executives, organizations, businesses, entrepreneurs, hone in on their own kind of PR strategy, how to work with media, how to properly pitch if that's an objective. Or maybe the objective is just to generate your own media through your own channels. So how does that look like? What are your messages? What's your storytelling approach? So the message mastery service really goes into doing kind of your own PR marketing from that storytelling standpoint, along with full media training, and then you get pitch support for 12 months. So that I really, that's really close to my heart when I get to work with someone for a really long time, because media is the long game. Like landing in media, if you really have something that you want to share, and you have to be patient. You have to be, mind you, it can happen overnight too. So we make sure you're ready for that.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. And then presentation coaching. So if you have maybe a keynote speech to give, or maybe you have a story that you want to share with your stakeholders or your shareholders, or maybe you've got clients and things are changing in your organization and you want to be able to explain the why behind that in the most effective way possible. Ensuring that when you communicate, people are listening, or that you use that beginner's mind with whatever communication tools you use, bring people up with you. So I teach that and help people, just communicate in the most effective way, regardless of their goals or objectives. But if you're someone who finds themselves in a communication role or a spokesperson role, or you're client facing, or there's, very important stakeholders, and you need to really, really nail down that message so that you feel like you're reaching your objectives, I can help with that.
There you go. Who, and it may evolve and change, but who currently is your go-to client avatar? Like who is this specifically? Who do you think is going to be the bulk of your clients?
I just really love working with people who want to make a difference in their community. And that community can be literal, it can be figurative, but if you're someone and you've struggled with really identifying what your story is, or for some reason your message isn't landing, if you have a hard time explaining your value proposition or explaining what you do or your why, that's who I want to help, especially if you're doing something that truly is of value and can help people. That's the question I feel we will all feel better in our hearts about if we can answer. It's, who can I help? How many people can I help? What do I have that I do to help people?
So you're giving clarity.
Yeah, if you're helping people and helping them find that clarity, I think we make the world a better place in our little teeny way, right? Yeah.
Speaking of the world, is it mostly Winnipeg? Is it anywhere geographically?
So Winnipeg and Manitoba is home. I've been here now for 19 years, gosh. And this is home for me. So if I can help Manitobans and Winnipeggers, I know this community. I still have phenomenal relationships with my media friends. I'm here to help you out. But in this beautiful interconnected world that we live in, there are no boundaries. There are no borders. So, friends and clients who are outside of Manitoba, I love helping them as well.
What do you think the common misconceptions are about journalism and media?
Oh my gosh, that there's this huge agenda, that it's fake news. Like, we have literally heard it all, that we're owned by the pharmaceutical companies, and the job is to just spin. So I think there's a lot of misconceptions about how journalists do their job. And that breaks my heart, because I know how hard journalists work. I know how hard they work. I do feel like there is something to be said about the court of public opinion, and there is distrust. There is negative views on media, especially after the last few years. I understand and appreciate where those views are coming from. Mm-hmm. Things take time. Newsrooms are very much reevaluating their product, because it is, right? News, you consume it. So I'm using that, not someone's going to hear this and say, look, she even called it a product. You still consume news. So, for all intents and purposes, I think there's a lot of thought going into how do we continue to grow our readership or our audiences, because there's so much choice out there. There's so much choice.
Well, especially in the changes that you've been talking about, the delivery method and the way that people are consuming. And where it's coming, the medium is insane.
And numbers don't lie, I hope, because I've never been in those rooms or at those tables. I was always a journalist, a host, doing the show. But I would hope that these outlets, no matter what they are, I know they do listen to the public. And that is going to matter more and more. So I do feel like the public absolutely is heard by newsrooms. They do watch the comments. There are places to go to file your grievances if you feel like something isn't being covered.
Well, we have, it seems like in Canada, we've always been kind of fair. We've been sheltered and not as polarized as the States. And it seems like that's not falling away, but it seems like we've got more polarized and more, distrusting lately, right? In the last 3 years. I don't know if it's simply because of the pandemic or if that created, a bias where people start now micro-analyzing absolutely everything.
Yeah, I definitely feel like the fact that we have these platforms to voice such strong opinions on, I don't think that helps. Canadians have always been pretty balanced. A lot has changed, and there is absolutely a correlation between social media or, online comment boards and polarization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People's opinions when their picture is, a cat and their name is Poopy Pants 67. You really have to take that with a grain of salt. Now, you started as the social media reporter with CTV, right? You got to dive in, and it kind of seemed like, I remember watching it, and it kind of seemed like you got the fun part.
Totally.
Right? It was the new stuff coming in. Now you're moving into your role as in media training and, messaging, which is marketing, right? So tell me, how do you look at, your sales funnel, we'll call it, or sales and marketing, and even your messaging? What does marketing mean to you? And now that it's different, right? It's your business.
Oh my gosh. I know, I cringe at it because it's weird to think of myself having to sell or market a product.
Your services.
My services. Seriously. No, it's a weird feeling. It's really weird. I actually, my social media has been a little bit quiet. I allowed myself this summer to rest. For the first time in, I'll be honest, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I let myself rest and worked really quietly. I wasn't really that active on my social media. I still am slowly trying to plot out how I want to use these very powerful platforms. Because
it's going to be different. It's going to be quite different than now. Did you have in when you were with CTV and you had to do the tweets or you had to do the posts and stuff like that? What was the why behind those?
Oh, that was so easy, Daniel. I was reporter journalist, Nicole Dubé CTV was the handle.
Right.
It was right there in the handle. So it was easy to be on Twitter and Instagram and share either the story I was working on or the interview. That was so easy for me. So now,
was that in the job description later on?
So initially it was basically said, yeah, you're expected to tweet and share on behalf of the news outlet. And it was all so new. You're a journalist. I was in my 20s when I joined Twitter. And yeah, I was like, okay. And you just kind of invent it as you go. And then, I remember my employer at one point, they came out with social media policies and what that looked like. And, I think we all, at one point on our social media, for those of us who uptook Twitter really early, views expressed are my own, we all had these disclaimers for a little bit, and then it's kind of presumed. And because, if you're
do your own research,
kind of, yeah,
things,
that all evolved. And then, in our workflow, as journalists, the workflow, at least that I had, included social media posts to a certain degree on either the company account or the news outlet's account, or resharing something that you did, or resharing.
Right.
There was, yes. And then I think as everything evolved, as people realize, well, I don't know if I feel that comfortable sharing all the time on the company's behalf, then there was a pullback.
Right.
That you weren't expected to, but here's the account. And then we, as everything evolves, then there became a more crystallized social media strategy, and it was all just on like the news outlets' main pages that you had to share on your own accounts, your own account.
Yeah. And now you don't have to do that.
Now I don't have to do that.
But now
and
the
this
spotlight.
This is the weird space I'm in. It's only been a few months, and I've always had default content. Okay, great. I'm going to just share what I did on the show today. Or I'm going to, put my face on and say, here's what's coming up. Or here's what we're working on tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then, when I shared personal stuff, it was just, this is Nicole at home or behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like all just behind the scenes or personal. And I don't know if I have a clear answer yet. I'm actively working on what, Nicole 2.0 or whatever this new version is, what it's going to look like on my social media. You would probably have more advice for me.
I think once you re-listen to this, you just answered your own question.
Oh, okay.
It's exactly what you just said. It's the behind the scenes of your life.
Really?
And it's not even the behind the scenes. It's you're sharing your life. And you will become more comfortable with what what comes naturally and what doesn't. And I know that the people that I follow, like one of the greatest people on social media right now in the entrepreneur space is Alex and Layla Hormozi.
Okay.
And I feel like I could sit next to them and talk to them like they were friends of years.
Because they're just sharing all of it?
Just not all of it, but they share valuable things. Okay. And they'll share about their personal lives. They'll share about business. They'll share about a lot of their failures. That's a huge one. And that's one that's really tough in luxury building, that wrapping my head around of being like, what do we show?
We're not supposed to fail.
That's right. Everything's super shiny in luxury homes, right? And so I have a that's one of my big things is like, okay, you need to show the problems, you need to show the failures and talk about it, right? And just a lot of it is like, who's going to care? But at the same time, it's that connection.
I do agree in that the most effective way to use social media is to be so real.
That's right.
And a part of my coaching, you're talking to one person in any presentation you do, in any media training work I do with clients. You're talking to one person. You use the word you. Like I cringe when I see someone say, "Hey guys."
Right.
No, I watch my stuff on my phone by myself. Hey guys, who else is in the room with me? No one. Just using that first person.
Yeah.
I like social media. I mean, I think we all have a bit of a love-hate relationship with it, but no, I'm excited to start sharing more personal stuff. But yeah, I kind of gave myself the summer to just kind of chill with it all. And
well, you're in an interesting place because like you're building this thing, right? And now anyone who's watching gets to come along on this journey with you.
Yeah. One thing I know I won't do is I'm not going to do it. Let me reintroduce myself post. That I cannot, you're not going to get it. You either join me right here, right now where I'm at, or you've been following along. But there's not going to be a, let me reintroduce myself. No, and to anyone who's done that, I applaud you. That means you have a social media strategy that is ahead of your time. Because, I'm not there yet. Maybe I am still a little afraid of, again, being Nicole Dubé.
I think
without anything else beside it.
I think we're all a little afraid. What's been the hardest part about starting your own company?
Hardest part? Just all the operations stuff. that doesn't light me up. I'm a creative. I want to work with people. I want to talk. Look, I can fill time. Daniel, you've got questions? I can talk for a long time. The hardest part was some of the more foundational operational components to really set up the corporation.
Yep.
That was work. That was so unknown, so foreign. And I would rather just find someone and ask them, how do I do this?
Yeah. And can I pay you to do it?
Right.
That's my number one.
But, money is, doesn't grow on the tree. So figuring out that side. It wasn't that it's hard. It's that it's, when I don't have energy for it, like when I'm not genuinely excited about something, then I have to really put the blinders on and just say, okay,
well, that's
how do I
work,
get this done?
Right?
That's the work part. That's the work part. Getting the website launched, that took way longer than I thought it would. Getting the copy just right. I ended up doing a lot of my own copy.
Yeah.
It was, I think the hardest part was that it just took longer than I thought it would. And I don't know if that speaks to me being naive or wanting to just, hey, 1, 2, 3, go. And let's just launch this rocket ship already.
Yeah. I think it's human nature.
Human nature, maybe.
It's just, you've created what you've created in your mind already. You're so far ahead in your mind. And then it's like, well, where is it? What? I already know what I want to do. It's perfect.
Yeah.
I've been there so many times.
Yeah, but it's been a lot of fun. It's been a really cool journey. I have learned, it's okay to be uncomfortable. A lot of people ask, like, how did I, land in journalism and do the jobs I've done? And I have to admit, there's a certain part of my personality that just focused on the tasks at hand and not overthinking the role. And that's how I dealt with like anxiety or anything about like imposter syndrome, for example. And we've all dealt with that too. But I think just from a really young age, I recognized discomfort as just a part of my life. So any discomfort or uncomfortable, raw, vulnerable feelings that I've had with launching a business and putting myself out there as an entrepreneur, as someone who's not, Nicole, the journalist, I tell myself this is just part of the process. This uncomfortable feeling won't feel this way forever. And so if I'm uncomfortable or if something feels a little scary, that is okay. And I don't want to self-soothe all my emotions away. That's something maybe old Nicole would have gotten distracted by and just, okay, let's go do something to distract myself. I'm starting to recognize that we do our most growth when we just sit with the feeling we have and there's not much else you can do. I mean, you don't want to sit there forever, but you do want to sit with it so that you don't suppress it.
Well, we all suck at the start.
Ugh.
You suck, right? Everybody sucks at the start. And you keep sucking until you suck a little less. And then you just keep working and you suck a little less until one day you're just like, oh, I don't suck anymore. Like, this is amazing. Hey, cool. Right?
You are not wrong. It is so interesting to look back. If you just look back on your life. Yeah, you get there. You eventually get there. Or if you suck so hard that you crash and burn, that's a redirection.
Well, now you already know, right? You've learned stuff along the way. I think what we forget is that in all failures, there's experience, right? And that you learn something. Whether or not you actually do something with that learning that's another question, right? But we can all learn from failure every time if we choose to. Something you said about just you take action. That reminded me of a quote that said, just do the work until you have enough proof that you outwork your self-doubt. So if you have undeniable proof that you are something or that you're going to do a certain way, that's the self-doubt has nothing to cling on to, right? And that's just doing the work, right? And most people want to plan and never do the work.
Oh, I was in a bit of a, it took me reading something about like stop planning and start doing. But I definitely, in my journey, I can look back. There was a lot of planning, thinking that you're actually getting somewhere.
That's right.
At some point, no, you're just in the same spot.
That's right.
I did have to have a moment of like, okay, Nicole, stop lying to yourself. You've been sitting on this idea for a while.
Yeah.
When does the planning stop and the actual action begin?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the real. That's when it's real.
That's right.
It's just an idea for now.
That's great. So how did that, so big change in your life. How did the kids take it? How did your husband take it?
So my husband was wonderful. He said the right thing. He said, he's not a journalist. He's like, I'm not a journalist. I don't know what it's like to be in your shoes. So I don't know what it's like for you to have to leave what you do. He's like, I also don't want to have any opinions on this business idea you have, because again, that's not my skill set. He's like, I don't want to influence or give an opinion in either direction. This is your choice. He's like, no matter what you choose, I support it. So he was super hands off. He was really good. He literally could have said, it'd be great if you had more sleep. It'd be great if you were, around in the morning. He said not a thing along those lines, not one thing. And then the kids, I didn't really tell until I told my boss. I really didn't tell them. I might have hinted at like, mommy might be, what would you think if mommy was home in the morning? Oh, we'd love it. What would you think if mommy wasn't on TV? Oh, and again, like they're 7 and 9. So, they just were like, well, why would you do that? It's funny what like a 9-year-old will ask, or an 8-year-old at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Just, well, are you excited about not doing that? Like there's some honest questions. Like, would you be happy not being on TV? If you're not gonna be on TV, what are you gonna do? So they were really cute about it. And then by the time I knew I was going to give my resignation, I had already grieved. I had given myself a nice, generous window to just grieve the ending of the most beautiful job I've ever had. And I did that in private. But I know I can look back. I know I was grieving. I definitely had nostalgic moments at work, looking at the studio lights and being like, wow, what's it going to be like to not see this every day? I let myself I didn't really work on the business. I kind of put some stuff on hold for a good month or two. And I just allowed myself to be sad that this identity, that 16-year-old Nicole wouldn't understand why I would ever leave it, that I was saying thank you to and goodbye. Because that's what it was. When I knew I wanted to do news and be like television news reporter, anchor, that was in my teenage years. So yeah, I thanked, in my mind's eye in a meditation, 16-year-old Nicole for having that dream and that vision, because it has served me so well. And I have such a beautiful life for that dream that hardworking young woman came up with. But I am not 16-year-old Nicole. I'm not Nicole who was on the news anymore. That's a part of who I've been.
It is, yeah. It's the experiences and the skill set that you picked up along the way.
So by the time I did say goodbye, and I am so lucky and grateful that I got to say goodbye, that I got to sign off. There are many, many brilliant journalists and friends and colleagues who, by nature of our industry, did not get to say goodbye in a way that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And so my heart breaks for them and for the industry and for the journalists who just, through the nature of how it all works, that's what you sign up for when you become a journalist. There's not a lot of job security.
Yep.
But I truly closed that chapter of my life with so much gratitude and peace. People have asked, how do you feel? Like, do you have any regrets?
Mm-hmm.
And it's cheesy, but no, I'm at peace with it all. And here's the truth. They've changed the format of the show. 3 weeks after I left, unbeknownst to me, the parent company changed the show format and eliminated a host. So no matter what, Daniel, and this is the funny thing about the universe, no matter what, my life was going to change. And I don't know how it would have looked like if I had stayed. To this day, I'll never know. But I do feel at peace for having done it on my own terms, for having given myself a lot of time to hone in on how I wanted my life to feel. And maybe that's the best way I can explain where I'm at today is I know how I want to feel, even if I don't know exactly yet how it's all gonna work out.
Well, you're being intentional about it.
Yeah.
And intention creates absolute, not clarity, but direction. And it's like, that's phenomenal. You had mentioned a lot of feelings about Winnipeg.
Love this city.
Take me through a little bit about what it's like being part of Winnipeg and some of the pros and cons, if you can.
Oh, of course I can. We can all.
It's true.
I love this city. And to this day, I'm still surprised when my friends from back in Southern Ontario ask, so, are you ever going to come back? It's a shocking question to ask. Part of me wants to turn and be like, no, are you ever going to move to Winnipeg? I've been here now for 18, 19 years, and I still get the question. So I love Winnipeg because when I got here, 20 years old, turned 21, I had come from Southern Ontario where getting car insurance is highway robbery, pun intended. And I remember being like, what? There's public car insurance here? So I was like, yes. I ended up saving hundreds of dollars a month by joining MPI. Winnipeg, for me, I felt was very welcoming and very easy to slip into the rhythm here. It has a city vibe, but you can afford, at least, in my 20s, you can afford your rent. You can find a quality place to live. The culinary scene here is unbelievable. Unbelievable. I think anyone who's traveled, I think we've all tried restaurants in other cities, but ours are just as good. I feel that way. And there really is a sense of community. And I would have said that even before I had kids. I feel like you can make real friends here, real life friends. And I have people that I've met here and hung out with here who've moved away, and I can still keep in touch with them. I've lived in a couple different places, but friendly Manitoba, it's more than just surface friendliness.
Yep.
I that's been my experience, and maybe I've been lucky in that sense, but I feel like there really is a true community here. People care about the future of their neighborhood, about the future of people are engaged in City Hall. They're engaged in what's happening on their street. I love the people. Winnipeggers, Manitobans, salt of the earth.
So I'm looking forward to your answer here. This is the section that we call the winning shout out.
Okay.
And this is where we shout out to a person, a business, can be anything that you think is winning at this point in Winnipeg. Now I'll go first. I'll let you think about it.
Okay.
It's funny because when I think about it, it has nothing to do with striking or anything, but a huge shout out to the employees of the Manitoba Liquor Marts. I have never met friendlier staff anywhere. And I'm talking like everybody. I don't think I've ever met, and I don't drink that much, but I have in my life. I've never met an entire staff, and not just one store, every store. So either their training's amazing or they just hired the nicest, friendliest people ever. And I enjoy their help.
I know. I've walked into some liquor marts, and right away there's been a friendly person. Okay, what's the meal? Who are you having over? Like the question, and they zone in right away. What's your budget? Okay, you're gonna love this. And I've never been led astray.
It's fantastic. And when I when I have my employer hat on, and I'm like, I would love to hear that tonality every time
like
we deal with somebody.
Anyone in retail customer service, shout out to you, because that is not easy. I never got those jobs. They looked at me right away and like, no, you are A-type. You have no patience for people.
That's very true.
I mean, being younger and looking for a part-time job, teenager, I was way too busy. But yeah, you're right.
It's a tough one.
People. Mm-hmm. I mean, along that vein, shout out to every single urban landscaper that works for the city of Winnipeg, who on a dime, they put flowers in all the planters that line all the streets. Like our season here is so short.
It is.
And right away, we get beautiful pots that line the boulevards of flowers and all that urban like the potting planters. That's the word I'm looking for. In all our neighborhoods that beautify, like Academy or Portage Avenue or Main Street or any of those. I mean, that's not an easy job either.
And they look good.
Yeah.
Like I kill everything by accident. And
same.
My wife, bless her heart, she is getting better. And we're looking at our plants, and then we drive down the streets, and it's
honestly,
do they water those things every single day? Like, how do they keep them alive? They're
I know
great.
that boulevard, Cordon, when it turns into Roblin by Assiniboine Park. I just, it's just so pretty. So shout out to anyone who does, urban landscaping for the city of Winnipeg.
They do crush it.
You do they do a fantastic job
for
what is such a short season.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
We have nice flowers up before the river trail is even dusted off.
Bingo.
Yeah. Every year.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a routine person?
Are you joking? Oh my gosh.
Take me through.
I thrive in routine. And I don't really have one yet because my life still feels all new and it's summer. So I think we all took some time off in summer. Okay. So routine.
So it's not a 3 a.m.
Oh, do you want me to just tell you what I did though for my 3 a.m. routine for anyone who works? Okay. So here's how people how do you do it? I'm like, I am routine to the minute. And that puts me into a beautiful autopilot state so that I can just physically move through the morning and let the creativity come. So I was huge in doing everything the night before. Breakfast and lunch, made and packed. Outfit, picked out, down to the accessories. Alarm set, showered at night. Everything for the next day was done at night. I kid you not, I would sacrifice a few extra minutes of sleep to make sure that it was still done at night. And that was hard to have to push through that desire to just be like, oh, I just want to go in bed and watch a show or just go on the couch. I'll do it. I'll just do it tomorrow morning. No, I never let myself off the hook for that. And then my morning, the alarm would go off, autopilot, out the door within 25 minutes, tea at work, followed by my breakfast that I made the night before. I had everything planned down to the minute. Hair, makeup, boom, on set, 5 minutes to 6. The 3-hour show would go through.
What time did you go to bed?
God, that was part of the problem near the end of my stint there. But I was trying to be in bed between 8 and 9. In the last few years with the kids being older, it was really hard to be asleep before 9:30.
Right.
Because their activities started to kick in. So I was barely doing 6 hours a night. Most nights was 5 hours, and then we'd nap during the day. Anyways, that was how I got through. I'm a huge believer in a night and morning routine. If you can do a few things at night before the next day, and then also have a pretty protected, it's not just about creating a routine or a to-do list. You have to protect it. That is the work part of it. You have to be internally motivated, and nothing is a greater motivator than lack of sleep. So that served me very well. But I found freedom in it. I at least knew I had the foundations to anything that's going to come my way that's out of my control, but what's in my control, that is locked into the routine. Yeah. And so that gave me a lot of peace of mind to get through my week. Yeah. Now, okay, so now my goal, again, wake up by 6, maybe 7. I'm hoping to bring that up to 6. And then again, I want to get to a point where I'm starting my day very intentionally, whether that's journaling or meditating or exercising, but doing something just for me before I check my phone, before I reply to an email, and then help get the kids out the door, because I've never really done that. Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is an adventure every morning at our house.
I can only imagine. You have kids?
I have a 9, a 4, and a 9-day-old.
Oh my God. You just had a baby? Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
Yeah, little Noah. We've got Emmett, Sophie, and Noah now.
Oh my
and
gosh.
He's for the time being, we've heard him cry twice. And so
and you're 9 days in.
I'm going to knock on wood, because that could change at any second.
Yeah, you're not a first-time parent. No. You know that you're this little sweet spot where they're oblivious.
The second you let the universe know that you got this, no.
How are you functioning right now, sir?
My wife is a machine.
Holy moly.
Yeah, no, she really is. So it's, adding one. I mean, it's not the 0 to 1. No. 2 to 3. It is what it is.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, that's such a thrill.
Biggest influences in your life?
Oh my goodness.
You mentioned a mentor early on.
Yeah. So my parents, for sure, they are the epitome of unconditional support. Like pretty much any single job I had, at one point my dad would be like, oh yeah, you can do that for a living. Like it wouldn't matter. It didn't matter. I was a bank teller once. I was a camp counselor. Like all the little things I was into, you can do that, like unconditional support. Anything I wanted to participate in within reason was, okay, all right, how does this look? So they are stellar human beings, unconditional support, unconditional love, really allowing me to like dream all my wild dreams, have big ideas, be creative. I never felt limited or that I couldn't do something. So my parents take the trophy for that. And then, yes, I have had some remarkable mentors, whether they knew it or not, along my journey. I also sought it out. So if you're someone who feels like they're struggling with something, like seek it out. I'm always delightfully surprised at the response to a request for advice. Even to this day, it's the amount of people who would love to help or share a little bit about what they know.
That's right. Yeah.
Has been invaluable in my life. There was a journalist I interned at CTV Halifax, Joanne Clancy. She was instrumental in helping me make up my mind that Winnipeg was a place I should come and dip my toes into on-air journalism.
What's your recommendation for reaching out to people like that? Is it cold? Do you try to get a connection between the two? What do you? I have been, as a journalist, like we call cold all the time. You email, now everyone's pretty much email based, but yep, I have, even on LinkedIn, on Instagram, I reached out to someone and been like, hi, like, here's who I am. The nice thing with social media is they can see who you are. That's
right.
Yep.
I would love to learn a bit more about how you did that or how you got into that, or, whatever my question is. If you ever have, 5 minutes to spare, please let me know. I'd love to pick your brain. It has worked. I think maybe once or twice ever, someone didn't reply or I'll see something so cool that they've done. I'm like, wow, how'd you do that? Like, what led to that? And then, we all have our, maybe like a personal board of directors, like people who we just look up to, or they know us so well. And when you share with them kind of your, not so secret, or maybe whatever problem it is, or maybe this idea you have, with friends or people who you respect, it's fascinating who they suggest. Oh, I've got someone who kind of did that or might be able to help you. You should try that. Take them up on the offer. Take them up on the offer. You'll be delighted. I have.
2 questions. You know the phrase, you don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So you knew you were coming here.
Okay.
Probably give it a little bit of thought. Is there anything that you wanted me to ask that I didn't? Or that you thought that I would ask?
No, I think you kind of covered it all. You asked more than I thought you would. The routine, my feelings. No, I think so. I think that was great.
So you've shared a lot about your journey. What would you tell somebody that is coming up 16, 17, 18? I don't want to say the 18-year-old Nicole, but anyone coming up thinking that this is the way they want to go in this kind of changing industry. What would be your words of advice to them?
So first of all, follow your curiosity. That's kind of my new mantra for myself. Not a mantra per se, but are you genuinely curious about the thing that you're pursuing? Like, is it one of those things where like you can't get enough of it? Whether like learning about it or the industry or like you're just living and breathing the thoughts of it. That's a great indicator that, you're following your curiosity. If you are actually trying to get into journalism, it is a forever changing industry. In my first year with Global, at that time owned by CanWest, there were layoffs. And I learned right in my first year of working in a real working newsroom, okay, this is what happens. And, whether you're unionized or not, I said to myself, I'm going to make my own job security. I'm just going to work hard. I'm going to learn as much as I can. And I told myself, I promised myself I won't fall to pieces if I get laid off, because there's so many people who have before me. This isn't new. So that was young. That was like, again, naive 20-year-old Nicole that didn't own a house. Go back to mom and dad's place. It's a lot easier then versus, being much older and losing your job. So I'm well aware that naive young 20-year-old journalist Nicole knew nothing compared to today. It'd be a lot harder to have something happen out of your control. But the news industry is out of your control. So if you're going into journalism, it means you accept kind of the terms that you're going to have to do a story every day. And those assignments can be grueling and they can be hard. And it can be a pretty thankless industry. And I don't say this to be negative. I say it because I'm a believer when you know the raw, real 101 of it all, now it's not a surprise. Empower yourself with the knowledge that this is a grind of a job. But the craft and storytelling, we need true, hungry journalists more than ever. The truth tellers, those who are going to hunt and seek the heart of the story, because we are all storytellers. Go back in history before news, it was just telling stories, Mm-hmm. And we all need to be informed. How we're being informed and what that looks like today, again, it's evolving. But I would say local news is more important than ever.
I agree. Well, this has been actually phenomenal. It blew me away. I really appreciate you coming on. You were real, you were raw, you were authentic, and I appreciate you sharing your story and everything that entailed. I know that we could probably go way
could
longer.
Go on and on. I was not expecting the what's the state of the media questions.
It is what it is. So just as you say, things that I'm curious about. And so where can people find you? Where can they learn more about you?
You can find me at Nicole Dubé Media on Instagram, on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn, just Nicole Dubé. I think Dubé Media will come up in that search as well.
You're also not hard to find on Google.
I'm not hard to find on Google.
Type in your name. Yep.
NicoleDubéMedia.com.
Yep. Beautiful.
Reach out if you want support in sharing your story, sharing your value, growing your audience in whatever, that looks like. Yeah, I'm here to help you.
You heard it here first. DM Nicole Dubé with any question you have at any time.
You got it. I would love to chat.
Well, I appreciate it. And you did phenomenal. Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me.